just watched a movie documentary called District 6 Rising from the Dust. Now, myself being born in a place called Pageview and Vrededorp and Fitas, as we all know it in Johannesburg, we had our own District 6 moment when we all got kicked out, and I was 12 years old when we were kicked out from our community, and of course that community has never quite been the same again. So I come here to a movie house and they show this District 6 rising from the dust, and I'm suitably impressed to find out more about it. So with me is Weaam Williams. Great chatting to you, and I must say a super production, okay? But tell me firstly, like, the why. What's the big motivation around this District 6? Can I call it a documentary?
Yeah, it is a documentary. I know it feels like a film at some point, but it is a documentary. The motivation was actually moving there into a house restituted to my family, and being a filmmaker and storyteller, it was an organic unfolding process.
And it's particularly interesting because people, were forcibly moved from District 6 in Cape Town, and the issue of land restitution is now not just a suburban thing, it's on the national agenda, right?
Yeah.
What do you hope will come out of this movie?
I'm hoping for government to take notice and kind of put their money where their mouth is. There's a lot of talk about land expropriation and access to land and restitution, but we've been waiting decades to see restitution in District 6. There have been movements on the ground to keep that land undeveloped, and those people have done a good job, but we need to now build people homes, and return those people who have been dispossessed to the Cape Flats, to return them to the city centre.
So, your parents were born in District 6. You live there even now in that space, but I mean it's not the same place any longer, right?
No,
Clearly, right?
no.
What, based upon the interviews you did in the documentary, if there's like one sentence you can use to describe what impact the removal, the dispossession of District 6 from the hearts of the people had on them?
I would say that the forced removal was a buried narrative, and people didn't want to speak about it. And the film really brought those scars to the surface. People who have seen the film are kind of coming to terms with their feelings, because my mother never spoke to me about the forced removals, neither did my grandparents. Everybody spoke about how wonderful District 6 was. So I think the film is really bringing the story of the forced removals to the surface in a really personal and tangible way, in a relatable way, not a history textbook or something.
And you chose to actually play out the documentary through your life. You were the main actor, right? And there was an important reason why you did that. Tell us why.
Well, because it's my story, really, and it's my mother's story, but it's also the story of the broader District 6 community. And I think by looking at the personal kind of microcosm, we look at the macrocosm in that way. And for me, it was also a point of understanding dispossession and intergenerational dispossession. But also, my initial cuts of the film were not as personal. I visited the Khan market earlier this year, and I spoke to people in the field who were really interested in the project, and they were more interested in the personal narrative, and so I've adapted the story to be a lot more personal, to reach an international audience.
Well, maybe I'm delighted that it is personal, because it resonates with me, because living in Fitas, it was me doing the same walk that you did, right? But maybe this is a good way to end. For people watching this documentary, who never lived in District 6, who lived in, let's call it Sapphire Town, lived in parts of Soweto, lived in Atteridgeville, lived in Fitas, wherever they may be, right? They need to find a District 6 moment when they watch that documentary and say, how can they internalize it? How are you able now, considering that it's shot in Cape Town with a strong Cape Malay Islamic heritage that comes to the fore, because that's your heritage, right?
Yeah.
But you also wanted to reach a broader audience so they can resonate with it. How would they be able to do so?
I don't think it's a matter of being able, I think it will resonate with them. And I think a part of my journey as a filmmaker is not to make excuses for who I am. And I think when we start to do that, to not make excuses for who we are, we start telling authentic stories, you know. And when you tell authentic stories, anybody can relate to it because they see the authenticity and they see the sincerity. And for me also, I think it's interesting because I'm a Muslim woman and I'm a Muslim woman filmmaker, and it's an interesting almost identity because even in the film you see me wearing hijab sometimes and sometimes I don't. And it's about this flexibility.
And that's your reality.
And that's my reality because I'm not pretending. I'm not pretending that I wear hijab all the time, and I'm not pretending that I'm a non-practicing Muslim because I am, you know, but I'm just being myself.
So let's end on the authenticity note. Give me an authentic reason why people should watch this documentary.
I think it's a big slice of history in this country, but not only because it being a slice of history. I think they should watch it for the filmmaking. They should watch it for its style. They should watch it for it breaking rules. Generally, me as a filmmaker, I tend to break narrative rules all the time, and it seems to work. Like generally, people like the way I break those rules. So I think, you know, it's worth watching because of the content, but it's also worth watching because of the cinema and the amount of work and effort that went into the art of creating the film.
Well, that's where we're going to leave it. I'll tell you what, from your point of view, so you know the national narrative is compensation of land without compensation. My thought is that's critically important, but if you watch this documentary on District 6, it would be about expropriation of land, but there would be compensation for you in terms of it's going to soften your heart and it's going to raise your consciousness, and so it should.